It's been half a year since I married the top tycoon of Beijing's elite, taking my sister's place. He has consistently refused any intimacy with me. Gradually, I grew discouraged and started thinking about divorce. But one day, by chance, I overheard a conversation between him and his friends. You know, there's someone. Clearly his desire is driving him crazy, but he's so afraid of scaring his wife that he just keeps holding back. I won't say who. But women find temptation hard to resist. If this continues, it'll be too late to cry when his wife runs off with someone else. The person being teased just calmly took a sip of wine. What I can't give her. If someone else can, I'll accept it, as long as she's willing to come back after she's done playing. His friends burst out laughing. Don't act so magnanimous. If you're so tough, stop using your alt account to post those sentimental things. I felt a sudden premonition and quickly opened Julian Keen's alt account. Right at the top of the page was a pinned post. Finally married the one I secretly love. But I have an addiction. How can I give her a good experience without scaring her? The story is, late that night, I took the sheer nightgown I had prepared and went to Julian's room. After we got married, he was busy with work and proactively moved to the guest room to avoid disturbing me. We hadn't had any physical contact in 2 weeks. Julian had just stepped out of the shower when he saw me sitting on his bed. His hand, drying his hair, froze. Why are you here? His tone wasn't exactly gentle. I sized him up from top to bottom. Julian has a great figure, even in a bathrobe. It couldn't hide his strong chest and faintly visible abs. High nose bridge, long slender fingers. With conditions like these, there was no reason to be celibate. Yet, after half a year of marriage, I hadn't gotten to explore much at all. I couldn't take it anymore and said bluntly, I'm here to sleep with you. No matter what excuse you come up with, tonight I will achieve my goal. Julian froze slightly. His gaze swept over my revealing outfit, then he said softly, okay, so smoothly, was it? I started to get suspicious. As he walked over, he seemed a bit awkward. Only the dim bedside lamp was on in the room. Julian lay down, a cool misty vapor coming off him. I felt a fire light inside me and wrapped my arms around his waist. Julian's body went stiff. He looked down slowly. His voice, husky and indistinct in the night, asked, do you want me to help you? As soon as he said it, he quickly pulled away and opened a drawer. All my feelings died at that familiar action. I didn't even need to guess what he was about to do. Fulfilling his husbandly duties, but not with his own body. I started to get annoyed. It was like this every time. It was as if his zipper was sealed. Even if he got hard, it was never used for anything. When I saw him take out a rubber glove, my face darkened. I angrily snatched it and threw it right at him. Help with what? You're so old-fashioned it's infuriating. How is that supposed to help? I was so angry my voice went high. In the dim light of the lamp, I couldn't see Julian's expression clearly. But I felt his dark eyes staring at me, hot and perhaps a little confused. A wave of self-pity washed over me like a broken dam. I continued my outburst. Julian, if you can't do it, just say so. You're not the only man in the world. I really can find someone else. We're husband and wife. Why is it always like I'm begging you for sex? Julian said hoarsely. That's not what I mean. But he didn't make another move. He didn't even bother to lift my face for a kiss. The third time I had carefully prepared to take the next step, I was rejected again. Gradually, only disappointment remained. I grabbed the robe I'd taken off, stood up, and slammed the door open. I slammed it so hard it echoed down the hallway. At my best friend's house, my phone kept vibrating. Not going to answer that. Chloe Lynn tilted her head and looked at me. I threw back a gulp of alcohol, the sting of the strong coffee liquor burning my throat. I turned off my phone and glared at her. What kind of cigarettes did you buy? I took one puff and now my throat is hoarse, I can't even speak. Chloe just laughed, toying with the cigarette pack. They look nice though. She waved it in front of me. It only took a few questions for her to dig out the story I was hiding. It's not that I wanted to hide it from her, but one question kept nagging me. Why won't Julian touch me? Could it be he doesn't like women? I shook my head. In high school, Julian had dated girls. Back then, countless boys and girls chased him, and all were rejected mercilessly. A thought suddenly flashed in my mind. I narrowed my eyes. Could it be he's keeping himself pure for my sister in Europe? There had always been rumors that Julian liked the eldest Miss Lee, the gentle and dignified one. Thinking back, it seemed very possible. This marriage was me marrying in my sister's place. The one originally supposed to marry Julian was my sister, but she abandoned him for her soulmate, that artist, and ran off abroad with him. Julian is a polite and courteous man. In half a year of marriage, he never refused any of my requests, except for that. Even when helping me, when he saw I was lost in intense sensations, he remained strangely cold and self-controlled. His eyes held no trace of lust, as if he were just an observer. Could it be, he found me disgusting? At that thought my mind exploded. The self-pity I thought had faded came rushing back. I slammed my glass on the table. I've jumped. Decided what? A divorce. A useless man, no matter how handsome, has to be kicked to the curb, especially when he has someone else in his heart. Cecilia Lee, do not lack men. Alright, stop drinking. Chloe thought I was drunk and rushed me off to take a shower. She had just gotten her nails done and didn't sleep well. The next morning I woke up with several red scratches on my neck. As soon as I turned on my phone, a flood of messages popped up. All of them were from Julian. I returned to the villa and was surprised to find him at home. The air was thick with cigarette smoke, and the ashtray on the coffee table was full. He looked up, his sharp features radiating pressure. You're back. His voice was hoarse. His eyes fixed on the red marks dotting my neck. His pupils contracted violently, and his gaze darkened instantly. I hadn't slept well at my friend's house and had smoked too much. My throat burned. I didn't want to argue. When I saw him about to speak, I waved my hand, my voice raspy. I was exhausted last night. I'm going to my room. I wasn't kidding. I had truly decided to divorce Julian. A marriage without sex can't be called happy. But ironically, that night I came down with a fever. My body felt heavy, my mind hazy. The door opened. Julian, fresh from a shower, brought the scent of cool mint straight to my nose, almost suffocating me. I frowned and pushed him away. I don't need you to worry. His body tensed. Then who will? His voice was low, both gentle and restrained, coaxing me like a child. Be good, take your medicine, you'll feel better. His cool fingertips touched my lips. His other hand, resting on my leg, also unconsciously tightened. He stared intently at my slightly parted, flushed lips, his breathing seeming to grow heavier. I didn't notice. Being held so tightly was uncomfortable, so I turned over in bed. Alright, you can go now. In my daze, I heard the sound of running water from the bathroom. It seemed Julian was taking another shower. When I woke up again, I was already in Julian's arms. There was a very distinct, unusual feeling at my legs. His warm breath brushed my ear. He had just woken up too and sleepily reached out to touch my forehead. Still a bit warm. The fever hasn't broken. I snapped, fully awake. You're the one making me hot. I tried to elbow him away, but he precisely tightened his grip on my waist. His rough palm rubbed gently, sending a shiver through me. I couldn't help but let out a soft moan. Cecilia. Julian called my name, his voice low, hoarse, and laced with an intoxicating charm that could easily make one drown. Let's try, just once. On any other day, I would have happily agreed. But after last night, a barrier had formed in my heart. To me, this felt like being slapped and then given a piece of candy. Like he was giving me charity. I had just recovered, my body was still exhausted. I flatly refused. I can't. The person behind me immediately went pale, his breathing turning shaky. Julian had no choice but to pull back a little, saying nothing. When I turned around, I saw him looking at me with deep, dark eyes, a bitter smile on his lips. It's my fault. I don't blame you, I snorted. At least you know. But don't overdo it like that in the future, okay? It's really uncomfortable after a fever. Julian lowered his eyes, hiding his true emotions. Without waiting for my reply, he stood up to get clothes for me from the closet. He usually wore a silk robe. It was rare to see him in just a towel. His skin was firm, his abs and V-line clearly defined. My eyes scanned his tapered waist and full buttocks, and my heart beat a little faster. But that was all. If any handsome man stood in front of me, my heart would beat just the same. Julian handed me the clothes, and I changed right in front of him without any hesitation. Just as I expected. He immediately turned his head away, his eyes not lingering on me for even a second. What I didn't know was that as soon as I left the room, Julian went right back into my bathroom. A few days later, I noticed some of my clothes were missing. At first, I didn't pay much attention. They weren't expensive items and I certainly wasn't lacking. But over time, I realized the shapewear Chloe bought me last week was gone too. I couldn't figure it out. We don't have cameras in the house, so I had no idea which pervert was doing this. At breakfast, I had no choice but to tell Julian. I think there's a thief in the house. He was slowly eating his breakfast, spreading butter on a slice of bread for me. Hearing my words, his hand paused. He didn't look up, his lips pursed slightly, as calm as if Mount Tai was collapsing. What's missing? Underwear. I said it nonchalantly, not expecting him to slip up. The butter knife in his hand nicked the small mole in the crook of his arm, drawing a spot of blood. I narrowed my eyes, staring at his strange reaction. Why so nervous? Don't tell me you took it. Julian was silent for a few seconds, then let out a small scoff, his narrow eyes fixed on me. What do you think? Before leaving for work, he was always impeccably dressed. He wasn't severely nearsighted but still wore gold-rimmed glasses which made his face seem deeper. Now, through the thin lenses, his dark pupils seemed colder than the sunlight outside. I scoffed. What do I think? Julian is the type of person who is principled, boring, and rigid as a textbook. Besides, he's so proper, why would he touch my underwear? I decisively changed the subject. What time will you be home tonight? I have something to give you. The draft of the divorce agreement. I had finished writing it. Julian pushed the plate of bread towards me and answered quickly. As long as you want me to, I'll be home immediately. His speaking speed was just as fast, so fast I couldn't even separate the words. His phone rang. His assistant was in the courtyard with a briefcase, reminding him it was time. Julian left. I touched the spot where my heart had skipped a beat, then touched my ear, which had unconsciously turned red. I felt both embarrassed and annoyed. Can't he just talk normally? Does he always have to flirt? After the meal, since I had some free time, I stopped by the hospital. The doctor said I had a hormonal imbalance and suggested I find a man to regulate things. As soon as Chloe heard, she acted like her tail was on fire. She offered to lend me some models from her company, the 8-pack abs and jacked chest types. At the time, I was sitting in my cool, air-conditioned room, sketching for my comic. My mind was focused on making the character look perfect. I immediately refused her offer. She hit a nerve. You've been breaking out lately, haven't you? I choked. I immediately cursed Julian again in my head. I had 2 new pimples right under my chin. The grass is always greener on the other side. Besides, you two are about to get divorced anyway. Just give it a try. Chloe patiently persuaded me. I put down my pen and thought for a moment. I was stuck on a supporting character's design. Maybe I could get some inspiration. Just looking, no touching. At worst, I'll just get a testosterone boost. Once I'm divorced, I can find 100 men if I want, but not right now. It's not that I'm weak, it's that I have morals. I don't just easily crave a man's body. Chloe let out 2 sharp laughs. The look she gave me clearly showed she had zero faith in my self-control. At first, I was confident. But after I finished drawing and went to sleep, I was completely humbled by the dream I had that night. I dreamed a very steamy, suggestive dream. In it, I was kissing someone so intensely I couldn't bear to stop. Our breaths mingled. His body was hot as fire. Small, wet sounds echoed, pulling me deeper into an endless, fierce wave. I was lost in those wild caresses, completely immersed in the overwhelming, ecstatic pleasure. It was heavenly. Until I saw Julian's face right in front of me. I woke with a start. My heart pounding, my back drenched in cold sweat. My whole body was still trembling, not yet free from the dream's after effects. I shakily stood up, intending to get some water. Just then, a few slurred, teasing voices drifted up from the living room. You know, someone clearly bursting with desire, but so scared of freaking out his wife, he has to force himself to endure. I'm not saying who. I peeked my head out. I saw Julian's close friends lounging on the sofa, wine glasses in hand, their voices full of teasing. Women find temptation hard to resist. If our man Julian keeps holding back, it'll be useless to cry when his wife runs off with someone else. These guys were close to Julian, so they didn't hold back. Julian just took a sip of wine, no expression on his handsome face. He said something calm that made them all laugh, but I quickly realized something was off. They said Julian had an alt account on Weibo and that he posted on it often. With curiosity and the hope of finding some leverage, I tried typing in a nickname I'd vaguely considered. Sure enough, an account with a profile picture identical to Julian's popped up. I clicked on it. The first thing that hit me was the pinned post. I thought it would be some kind of failed man, complaints or other nonsense, but when I read the content I was stunned. It read, "Finally married the one I secretly love. But I have an addiction, how can I give her a good experience without scaring her?" The post below it, "The world is full of temptations. She finds me rigid, that's my fault. If I indulge her in this way, will she refuse?" The illustration, a male-made outfit and a dog collar with a bell. My blood boiled. In my mind, Julian was the cold, abstinent type who never joked. I never imagined he had this secretive and insecure side. My first reaction was that I had the wrong account. So I kept scrolling. As if stepping into some forbidden zone I couldn't resist. Went into her bathroom several times again today. If she finds out I'm the one who took her missing underwear, she'll probably hate me. I don't want her to hate me. I hate myself. I ripped the items. I really shouldn't touch her. The other day I walked past her shirtless. I wonder if it moved her. But the towel covered my lower abdomen, so she couldn't see I have her name tattooed there. Today she said there was a thief in the house. On the outside I pretended to be calm, but inside I was scared to death. I don't dare tell her I'm the thief. It's so frustrating. I don't want to keep shouting her name in my dreams. I just want to say, Cece, please, just look at me once. My world was collapsing. The more I scrolled, the more my hands shook. All the shock and amazement combined into a blazing excitement. So, all my missing underwear was taken by my ice-cold husband. And Julian has an addiction. It seems like he actually likes me. So for the past 6 months, what the hell game was he playing? The excitement exploded in my head like fireworks after seeing his Weibo, nearly making me explode too. Damn it, I have to catch this secretly deviant old-timer red-handed. I put my phone away and flew downstairs. The sound of my slippers slapping against the floor echoed loudly. Just then, the doorbell rang. In the living room, Julian's friends, who had been joking around, suddenly fell silent when they saw 2 stunningly handsome men appear late at night. Everyone was dead silent. The quickest one to react muttered, "Holy." I whispered. It was none other than the 2 men Chloe had loaned. Me, a genuine 8-pack abs model, and a big-chested wolf. "Mom, we're here." The 2 men saw me and waved enthusiastically, ignoring the strange looks from everyone else. Xiaoqi ran right up to me. Lin sent us to help you. Relieve your sorrow." As soon as he finished, the expressions of the people in the room became as varied as a rainbow after the rain. Someone glanced at Julian and whispered, "Julian. I told you, women find temptation hard to resist," she called 2 at once. "Looks like you've really been starving our sister-in-law." Because of the distance, I couldn't hear exactly what they were saying. I just wanted to quickly get rid of the 2 liabilities Chloe had sent. I lowered my voice. "How much is Chloe paying you?" "I'll pay double. Just leave, now." But I didn't realize that from this angle, seen from where Julian was sitting on the sofa, it looked exactly like I was intimately whispering with a handsome man. As if I had no regard for my husband, just lost in the joy of having hot guys delivered to my door late at night. "Ma'am, just let us stay and play with you. We have all kinds of tricks and we're very versatile with positions. We guarantee you'll be satisfied." The young model with the flirtatious eyes winked at me. My scalp tingled. I unconsciously glanced behind me. Julian was looking at me, his gaze as deep as an abyss, as dark as the ocean floor. He was the type who always maintained a calm, reserved exterior, never easily showing his emotions. Right now, I couldn't guess if he was upset or not. If I hadn't seen that alt account, I might have actually dragged these 2 men upstairs out of sheer anger. But now, I wanted to see how Julian would react. If he would just be a little proactive, show even a hint of dissatisfaction as a husband, I would immediately kick these guys out and just be alone with him, just the 2 of us. But half a minute passed, and Julian still didn't move. He just stared at me, his eyes gradually becoming empty, his brows furrowed. He seemed to retreat into his own world to process a storm of complicated emotions. Pain, tearing, and then surrender. Finally, he stood up. His indifferent gaze fell on me, his lips pressed tight. He asked, "Is this what you wanted to talk to me about?" Before I could even react, I heard him say stiffly, "If you have guests, then you should entertain them properly." As soon as he said it, not only I, but all his friends were stunned. "Julian, you truly are the epitome of the magnanimous main wife spirit." Someone even whispered, "What was that about coming back after playing? She's bringing them home to play right in front of him." My mouth twitched. I was furious inside. I wanted to march over and slap Julian hard. But on the surface I forced a bright smile, like a flower blooming in spring. "Yes, my dear husband. I will definitely entertain these honored guests well. So well you won't have to worry at all." That cold-faced man. Let's see how long he can keep pretending. In the room, the 2 men Chloe had arranged stood straight by the door. Before long they both took off their shirts and then solemnly walked towards me. "Mom, where should we start?" My attention, however, was entirely focused on Julian's room next door. When I saw what was in front of me, I froze. Chloe's people were truly as crazy as she is. Have some decency, don't be rude. Put them back on. I felt they were misunderstanding the situation, so I quickly explained. "I just need you to let me look. You don't need to do anything for real." "But Ms. Lin said you wanted to draw bare buttocks, so we had to strip completely." "Whatever pose you like, we will cooperate fully." My face darkened. So I was the only one with dirty thoughts. "Are you dissatisfied with our figures?" "Actually, I'm very satisfied." I just cleared my throat, glanced at their faces, and asked, "Chloe probably told you to listen to everything I say, right?" They both nodded. "Then, can you 2 kiss each other? I need to make some noise." We've been in the room for a while. But there's still no reaction from next door. The two of them saw me glancing repeatedly to the left and immediately understood. One of them smiled. You've got a good eye. Understood. We guarantee we'll complete the mission. A minute later, the two models began a very relaxed and suggestive performance. Soon, the atmosphere in the room became as ambiguous as possible. I was caught in the middle of this amateur performance, trying not to laugh several times. Very quickly, there was a knock on the door. Julian stood there, his hair soaking wet, his eyes downcast. He looked like an abandoned puppy. He was holding a plate of peeled fruit. He said nothing, just silently scanned me from top to bottom. Nose, cheeks, collarbone. When he saw my gossamer, thin robe, his eyes darkened. I looked at that, angry but afraid to show it, expression and almost died laughing. I teased him, want to come in and join us? Julian's fake, calm facade almost shattered instantly. His fingers tightened on the plate. He said in a casual tone, I want to borrow your bathroom for a bit. Borrow it again. His hair was soaking wet, and he still had the familiar scent of body wash on him. Did he think I couldn't tell he'd just showered? But I didn't refuse, I leaned aside. Go ahead. Besides the fruit plate, he was also carrying a small bag. I couldn't see what was inside. As soon as he entered the room, his gaze swept like a knife towards the two men on the sofa. After their struggle, the two of them were now panting, faces flushed, clothes disheveled. The pillows on the bed were all messed up. Julian clenched his fists, a cold glint in his eyes. It took a long moment before he retracted his gaze and stepped into the bathroom. The moment the door closed, the two models shivered. Oh my God, ma'am. Your husband's gaze looked like he wanted to kill us. From where I was standing, I couldn't see Julian's expression clearly. Hearing them say that, I raised an eyebrow. All right. That's enough for today, you two can go home. Yes, we wish you a very happy night. I hope so. In the bathroom, the sound of water rushed. I changed the bedsheets, then pressed my ear to the bathroom door. Nothing, so I sat on the sofa and opened Julian's alt account on Weibo. Sure enough, just 10 minutes ago, he had posted an update. She just called me husband, but the guilty feeling of sneaking around terrifies me. I wish she would always call me that. But she still looks for other people. The laughter from the next room is too loud. Is it because I'm too boring, or because I've been too lax? Letting her be seduced by wildflowers outside, making mistakes again and again. I'm going crazy. How far have they gone? What right do those two bastards have to get her attention? I can clearly do it too. I can even satisfy her more. It hurts. I can't take it anymore. I want to indulge her now, until she cries. I won't stop. I have to punish her severely. Reading those last few lines, I shivered. A soft click came from the bathroom. Immediately after, Julian's low voice called out, Cecilia. If it's convenient, could you grab the towel for me from outside the door? I just noticed. Before he went in, he intentionally left the towel outside. It was clearly deliberate. What an act. I pouted, smiled, and walked over to knock. A strong, wet arm reached out, and then the door opened a little wider. Julian was tall, his bare chest exposed, standing there. A cool mist billowed from the bathroom. He was wearing a revealing male-made outfit. My eyes went wide. I was frozen. Normally at home, Julian only wore two things: loungewear or a suit. The loungewear was comfortable, the suit was formal. Both exuded his unique cold, noble, and distant aura. But now, this suggestive outfit, combined with his eyes slightly hazed by the steam, gave him an indescribably seductive feel. It was very powerful. So much so that I couldn't look away. I suppressed the urge to pin him down, shaking the towel in my hand. You're already dressed. Do you still need this or not? He pulled my hand, using it to wipe the water droplets from his chest. It was very soft, very resilient. Julian had never done this before. His handsome face was a picture of awkwardness. Seeing I didn't resist, he pulled me in a little further. Things between a husband and wife should be done at home. People will see you outside. He said. Who will see? I quickly reacted. He must be talking about the two models Chloe sent. I didn't say anything. They were gone anyway. Let's see what other tricks Julian had up his sleeve. The bathroom was spacious, the air cool and crisp. Julian hadn't used the hot water, he was just as cold, but his warm palm on my skin made my heart pound like a drum. Actually, I have something I want to show you. I had a vague idea. It was probably the tattoo of my name he mentioned. Sure enough, he then pulled my hand down, sliding it over his firm muscles, down to his lower abdomen where veins were clearly visible. Sichi, do you feel it? The searing heat under my hand made my head buzz. I blurted out awkwardly, so tight. Julian was speechless. I mean the tattoo. It has your name on it. Oh, really? I feigned surprise. Then take it off and let me see. In the past, Julian would have definitely refused. But this time that sentence hit the mark. Before he could say anything, he ripped off the carefully prepared maid outfit and pressed me against the sink. I'm not that bad. Do you want to try with me? I was silent. Julian started to panic a little. His hand tightened on my waist, his lips pressed against mine, impatiently prying them open for a deep kiss. His breath was scorching. Cecilia, don't play with those guys anymore. Play with me. For Julian to be this proactive, it was truly a once-in-a-millennium event. As the bathroom steamed up, I was still thinking. His hand covered my mouth, his sweat dripping onto my shoulder and neck. Quiet. There are people outside. You know there are people. But you can't be gentler. My eyes blurred with tears, I couldn't take it anymore. Let's go somewhere else. It's too hot. No. His voice was tinged with panic. Did he think I was planning to go out and play with them again? I said helplessly, they're gone. Those two were just models Chloe sent for me to use as drawing references. Julian froze for a few seconds, then quickly changed position, kicked open the bathroom door, carried me straight out, and pinned me on the bed, kissing me like he wanted to swallow me whole. If before was a light drizzle, this was a torrential storm. I never thought Julian could be this intense. My nails raked a long line down his back, my tears ran dry, he just kept coaxing me. The small bell on Julian's collar jingled all night. By the time the sky lightened, he suddenly pressed lightly on my lower abdomen. Did that guy earlier touch you here too? Which guy? I was exhausted. I had no idea what he was even asking. Julian, you bastard, one more time and I'll die. Be good, just one more time. The next morning, I slept straight through until almost noon. Julian had already left. My whole body ached. I lay on the bed for a while longer until my phone rang. It was Chloe. I forced myself to sit up. As soon as I answered, I heard her voice. My two models said you were very happy. Thinking of the tragic scene last night, my scalp tingled. A man who's been unused for too long. Don't touch him. And a man with an addiction like that, definitely don't touch him. I was silent. Chloe burst out laughing. Impressive, you even knew to use other people to provoke him. Tell me the truth. Was that whole divorce thing just a tactic to pull him closer? Hearing the word, divorce, my mind suddenly cleared. That's right. The divorce agreement. I jumped out of bed and ran to the vanity, but the agreement I had placed on the table last night was gone. My first reaction was that Julian must have taken it. But thinking about it, this was too embarrassing. We were so intimate last night, and then he finds out I was planning to divorce him. I couldn't imagine how he would look at me. So, I decided to get dressed and go to Julian's company. This was my first time at the Chin Group, but the receptionist in the lobby recognized me immediately and personally escorted me to the CEO's office. His secretary said he was inside and told me to go right in. I hesitated, afraid of disturbing him if he was busy. But then I thought, so what if I disturb him? I'm his wife. I knocked twice and pushed the door open. In the L-shaped meeting room. It wasn't just Julian, his close friends were there too. Hearing the noise, they all looked over at me. Our eyes met. Julian's gaze was as calm as water, but I saw his pupils flicker. He immediately stood up and walked towards me. Why did you come so suddenly? The words I had carefully prepared on the way here instantly crumbled by half when I heard his gentle voice. Logically, if he had seen the agreement, he should be furious. Could it be he hadn't seen it? Well, since our sister-in-law is here, we won't bother you anymore. His friends were very tactful, quietly getting up to leave. But the way they looked at me was a bit strange, as if they were looking at a terrible person. It felt extremely uncomfortable. After they left, I asked Julian directly. This morning when you left, did you see anything on my vanity? Julian was pouring me tea, his eyes lowered, concealing all emotion. You're always so calm. Is something missing? I studied him, but still couldn't find any clues. Maybe the housekeeper cleaned it up by mistake. I shook my head and decided to change the subject, inviting him to a meal. After dinner we went home, and I retreated to my room, not wanting to come out. At first, I was skeptical about Julian's claim that he didn't dare touch me for fear of scaring me. But after the last few times I truly believed he had an addiction. We were constantly changing locations. My waist nearly broke, but he was still as vigorous as a raging fire, even more enthusiastic than the night before, but this time, he was strangely gentle. In my haze, I suddenly remembered the first time I met Julian. My sister had just gone abroad, and I was pushed to meet him in her place. Everything had been clearly explained, yet that night he agreed to the marriage right away. I thought he was the type so scared of his family's arranged marriage that he'd become reckless. If it weren't for that alt account, I never would have known he had been secretly in love with me for so long. Julian is that kind of person. He keeps everything bottled up, never saying a word. I was wondering if I should use this chance to pry open his permanently frozen mouth, when suddenly his hoarse voice came from behind me. Cecilia, are you happy being married to me? I actually thought about it seriously for a moment. I guess I am happy. I don't lack food or clothing, my husband is handsome, and money is abundant. I am extremely satisfied with Julian. If only he could be a little less forceful, it would be perfect. But my silence was misunderstood by him as hesitation. He lowered his head, placed a light kiss on my neck, and whispered as if to himself, I am very happy. I truly never dared to dream I could marry you. I also understand that if even one person in a marriage is unhappy, it's no different from a grave. I don't want to imprison you. He called my name seriously. Cecilia. If you want freedom, I can let you go. I never knew that for Julian, this marriage was something he had to scheme to get. Hearing that tone, I immediately sensed something was wrong. I turned around and asked him point blank, You saw the divorce agreement, didn't you? Julian pressed his lips together, his damp bangs sticking to his forehead. I saw those familiar, pitiful puppy eyes again. That document, I had someone draft it when I was angry, I said quickly. I have absolutely no intention of doing that now. Julian looked up. Why were you angry? I was stunned. That's what he's concerned about right now. I was both embarrassed and annoyed, poking my finger hard into his rock-solid abs. You dare to ask, who was it that after half a year of marriage refused to touch me no matter how many times I initiated? When a man doesn't want to be intimate with a woman, there are only two reasons: either he hates her, or he feels nothing. I married you in my sister's place. I thought you liked my sister. What's wrong with me being angry? Julian, don't think I won't dare to leave you just because you're handsome. There are plenty of men out there younger and more handsome than you. If I really divorce you. My lips were crushed by his forceful kiss. Julian's breathing was chaotic. He held me tightly, as if afraid I would disappear. It's my fault. Don't be angry anymore, I don't like your sister. The reason I didn't touch you was just because. Julian trailed off, a look of embarrassment on his face. I have some difficulties. Seeing his aggrieved expression, my anger subsided by 30%. At home, Julian really was like a little puppy. I brushed the stray hairs from his forehead, deciding not to beat around the bush. Julian, do you like me? Surprisingly, Julian didn't look as shocked as I thought he would. Instead, he seemed relieved, letting out a soft sigh. You finally figured it out. It seems I didn't hide it well enough. I was speechless. Not well enough. If it weren't for your alt account, we would have been over. But I didn't say that out loud, because Julian was clearly very happy. After a long, clingy make-out session, he wanted to carry me to the bathroom again. I thought you wanted a divorce because I wasn't good at. I've been holding back so much it's killing me. Cecilia, please help me. My face darkened. The next few days passed peacefully. Chloe said I was practically glowing. Not only that, but ideas for my comic were flowing like a river. I was busy for nearly a week before I finally had time to open Julian's alt Weibo account again. There were only a few simple lines. She knows I like her. I'm so happy. I don't expect her to like me right away, I just hope she doesn't grow to hate me too quickly. When I loved her the most, I forgave her for being unfaithful. What was Julian imagining now? I had already clearly explained the situation with the models. I vaguely felt there was something he still hadn't told me. Click, I closed my laptop and went straight upstairs. Julian was working out. His already perfect body was being honed even further, which only made me feel like a total amateur in bed by comparison. I watched his toned waist and flexed biceps for a long time before slowly walking over to hand him a towel. You're already in great shape, why are you training so hard? Julian replied nonchalantly, a husband's body is his wife's pride. My mouth twitched. In that case, I've really eaten too much already. When Julian went to shower, I waited outside the door. I waited until he was almost done changing before I spoke up. Is there something? Do you want to ask me anything? He walked out drying his hair, raising an eyebrow slightly. Ask what? Humph, Julian is exactly like that. He could be dying of sadness inside but won't say a single word. If I were a more heartless person, I would just ignore him. I deliberately provoked him. I read an interesting quote today. Choose the one you love as your lover, choose the one who loves you as your husband. I think it makes a lot of sense. What do you think? Julian's face immediately darkened. He said urgently, You can't. I gave a cold laugh. What if I said I've already chosen a lover? A flash of hurt appeared in Julian's eyes. I know. But I don't blame you. It's because those people out there are too manipulative. That's how they lured you. But Cecilia, just this once, okay? Any more, and I won't be able to take it. Julian hugged me tightly, his voice clearly flustered, but his attitude was strangely forgiving. I was so angry I laughed. I pushed him away. You're really something else. Then tell me. Who did I choose? You don't know. I'm sure you chose someone else. Julian's gaze suddenly landed on my neck, where the hickey he'd left a few days ago was still faintly visible. He pressed his lips together and said, "That day you slept out. You had marks on your neck, your voice was hoarse, and you had a fever. I knew just by looking." I tried to rack my brain. That day I slept at Chloe's house. It's true, my condition that day was a bit misleading. So I explained clearly, to put your mind at ease. It was just a misunderstanding. I would never do something like cheat in a marriage. And you, Julian? You're considered a big shot. How can you be a god at the negotiating table but silent as a mouse with me? A mouth is for talking. If you're not going to use it, you might as well donate it. I do use it. Julian saw I was angry and immediately bowed his head, admitting fault. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed him and pulled. Wrong, wrong, wrong. All you ever say is it's my fault. Tell me, what else are you hiding from me? Julian blushed and said quietly, yes. I was the one who took all your missing underwear. And, I did some not so good things with them. I'm sorry. I narrowed my eyes. Anything else? When your sister suddenly went abroad I arranged it. I froze. What? I still clearly remember my gentle, poised sister before she left. She was a crying mess, snot and tears everywhere. She just held my hand, saying she had to follow her artist boyfriend to Europe, no matter what. That this was her one life and she had no regrets. I even thought to myself, if they were so in love and the family didn't approve, they could just find a place to live together. Why go so far abroad? Julian added, I just helped them make it happen so your sister could be with the one she loved. For that trip, I gave them a sum of 10 million, to be precise. It was a transaction, for them it was a transaction, but for me it wasn't. Julian clearly realized that point, so his voice was especially guilty. It's my fault, I've always known. All this time, I haven't touched you, not just because I was afraid of scaring you, but also because I was afraid you'd find out I had arranged everything. I was afraid you'd know I deliberately married you, and that I'd taken precious things from you, and that you would regret it. If, after marrying, you felt dissatisfied and wanted a divorce, I would give you half of my assets. You wouldn't lose out. But if possible, Cecilia. I don't want you to hate me. For children born into big families like ours, marriage alliances are an unavoidable path. To be fair, before marrying Julian, I didn't have any objections. In fact, I even felt lucky because, in terms of looks, he crushed most other men. But now, hearing him say this, I felt a warmth spread through my heart. I've never hated you, Julian. On the contrary, since getting to know you, I've discovered so many different sides of you I never knew. I'm not sure if this feeling is like. But I'm very happy when I'm with you. And that's enough. Julian is someone with high physical desires, but in matters of emotion, he is the type to be endearingly easy to satisfy. He repeated my words, his voice a gentle whisper. You being happy is enough. I laughed through my tears, leaning up to kiss him. That night we didn't do anything else. We just sat in the home theater, curled up on the sofa, and held each other while watching a movie. When the male lead confessed his love, I tilted my head to look at Julian. Hey, tell me the truth, when did you start to like me? Or rather, when did you start secretly loving me? Julian replied, at your university graduation. You held my hand once. I was stunned. That's it. I burst out laughing, climbing onto his lap to tease him. And you still dare to say you're not some love-struck fool. This isn't a love-struck brain, this is a Cecilia-struck brain. Julian suddenly pulled me tight, kissing my lips to stop me from talking, not even bothering to argue. That's right. I am Cecilia-brained. This story illustrates how a lack of honest communication and basing actions on assumptions can nearly destroy a relationship. It highlights that true intimacy requires vulnerability, as both partners' insecurities led them to misinterpret each other's actions. Ultimately, direct conversation, not hiding secrets or lashing out, is the only way to overcome deep-seated misunderstandings.